Hey everyone, this is Joan, and I hope that you're having a great day. The guy's picture that you're looking at, I don't know who he is. I just picked the picture up from Pixabay. And the reason why the picture's up here is because, as you can see, the title of this video, Respect Your Man. That probably sounds like an odd thing coming from me. Not that I ever say don't respect your man. I tend to think respect should be a mutual thing. But the reason why I'm highlighting you should respect or show respect for your man, and the reason why I picked this particular guy is because this is something that women, I think, don't consider enough. Men are stronger than you are if you're a woman, if you're born a woman. If you have XX chromosomes, there's a good chance that the average man, if you're the average woman, he's stronger than you. Um, I think that women go out on dates with men they don't know anything about him except what he told you online somewhere, or what he told you on the street, or what he told you in class, or based upon what he looks like. And excuse me, you admire the muscles. You think, oh yeah, that looks real good, but you don't think about those muscles are actually kind of weapons, and I can't compete with it. Even if I said I can outrun them, no, basically you can't. So I think a lot of times women go out with men, and this just happens to be a black man's picture I pulled up, but it's the same with any race of men. The average man is stronger than the average woman. I kind of think even if the average woman works out, still the average man can take her in any kind of a I think if it's a fight between a man and a woman, it's not a fair fight to begin with. But unless she has some type of weaponry with her, and I'm not encouraging violence. What I'm saying is show this guy, any guy, some respect because not only is he stronger than you, from what I've seen in life, he also has a shorter fuse and a feeling that your body is his. That once you say hello, if you make the mistake of saying hello, that somehow you have become his, not so much his property, some may feel like that, but you have an obligation to date him. Now, I used to think, well, wait a minute, you ask women about body counts, but if a woman's went with every man who asked her, she would never get any work done. That's all she do. And then you say, well, she shouldn't be asking for money either. Well, she should just sleep with you for nothing. If you really think about it, marriage, when you really look at it from a woman's perspective, one of the only reasons you should marry is for money. It's not a matter just of digging gold. You should come with gold. You should be trying to give me gold. Now, I've heard about the drizzle drizzle movement, and men are saying, well, you should do stuff for me. Okay, I feel like I had said a while back that I think the sexes should look at each other, scream, and run in the opposite direction. That's how bad I think it's gotten. But my major point here is respect this guy. These guys are not walking around singing love songs to you the way they did in the 50s and 60s and before that. They're singing how much they hate you, especially if you're a black woman. So that is my major point right now because I think that you have all these people giving advice online, all these relationship coaches and such. None of them tell you, hey, respect that guy has muscles. It's kind of they're acting as if all men are reasonable. Now, I'm not saying all women are reasonable, but your average man can stop a woman who is not being reasonable. Your average woman cannot. By now, you've already heard about Sade Robinson and how she went out on a date with a guy named Maxwell Anderson, who was about 14 years older than her. And she was not seen alive after that. So, what I'm saying is that I remember watching, what was that movie that everybody loved? It wasn't Scarface, The Godfather. Now, when that movie came out, everybody was madly in love with it. To be truthful, I never actually saw the whole movie. I saw up until the part where they said that they were going to throw drugs in the black community. And after that, I stopped watching, and you never had to worry about me even thinking about a drug. But another thing I noticed about it that maybe no one else paid much attention to was the guy, Michael Corleone, wanted to date this woman, or he was dating this woman, but he couldn't just call her up, pick her up, and go out somewhere. He had to go to her house. They were chaperoned everywhere they went. He did not get to be alone with her. The point I'm making is when I saw it, I thought, wow, that seems rather extreme. But I think that we were taught to look at that as women as you're trying to enslave me, you're trying to lock me up. No, I think they're trying to protect you. They recognized back then that men are greatly attracted to you, even if they don't admit it. They are very attracted to you as a woman. And they also don't have as much empathy as you do, and they also have more aggression. Now, that is not across the board, of course. I'm looking at averages, that the average man and the average woman, and I'm not even faulting men about that. When you look back at the Bible, God told Adam to go out and work the fields. I think that that is one of those things you look at and you don't think much about it. But I think that it's saying his job was to know that garden like the back of his hand. So he would know who was in it, who was not in it, what were they supposed to do, how did they normally react. I'm talking about the animals, even though I do believe that there were humanoid creatures back there too. So if his job is to protect, you don't need him to have as much empathy as you would someone's job it is to nurture a helpless human being until they are no longer helpless. So I'm not saying anything bad about men. What I am saying is that if they don't have something to do physical, they tend to take that aggression home, and they are stronger than the average man is stronger than the average woman across the board. It's not like he's only stronger when he's at home and he's weaker different places. No, he's stronger than you everywhere you go. So the thing about what happened with this Sade, she was only 19. So I think, that's that's a very young girl. And she went out with this guy. He's a guy from another nation, and I did glimpse somewhere that he was coming from a well-to-do background. But the thing is, being a black woman, everybody knows Malcolm X said it way back in the 60s. You're not protected, not by humans down here. Your men have pretty much abandoned you and then blamed you for the abandonment. I kind of think ignore that as much as possible because you can't change it. That's one of those things you have to wait for the Father to come straighten it all out. But meantime, he said, occupy. The Savior said, occupy till I come, which means protect yourself. Do not go to these men's houses. I don't care how much they tell you, oh, I'm not going to ask you to do anything you don't want to do. We can just watch TV. I can go home and watch TV. I don't need to watch your TV. The point is, respect his strength. Nobody seems to tell women that. They tell you, oh, just it's freedom for you to walk outside and wear as few clothes as possible. Not generally, I don't say anything about what anybody wears. That's their business. But look at who is looking at you. You don't really even have be to dress immodestly, and modesty is kind of a matter of opinion. But the thing is, whether men like it or not, they do like looking at you, and they are more aggressive than you and also stronger than you. So if you decide, well, I'm not trying to give him anything to look at that hard. I'm not trying to whatever I have that he might be looking at, and I don't even know this person. I'm trying to present an air of dignity. That's a word people don't use anymore, but I think that you might want to investigate it. And I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm saying be careful because no matter what guy you date, there's a good chance that he can take you if he wants to. It used to be society. I remember growing up in an era where boys were told all throughout grammar school, you don't hit girls. If you do, that's not a good thing. That's not a real, you're not going to be a real man hitting on a girl. They don't say that anymore. Sometimes it seems they prefer to hit on you because it's easier. People praise lions, but lions always go for the weakest prey. They don't go looking for something that's going to give them some trouble. They go for the easiest thing out there. So I'm just saying, respect yourself, respect that your body is precious, and you might not want to just have it out there for everybody to see. Now, if you do, I'm not arguing with you, have fun. I'm just saying, respect that these men are stronger than you and that they, like I said, I think they have a shorter fuse. You don't want to light it. I don't want to be one of those people who used to say, oh, well, she was attacked. What was she wearing? No, that's not what I'm saying. Some people, it wouldn't matter what you wore, but other people might not be thinking about you one way or the other too much unless you make it look a little bit, look in such a way that you draw attention to your beauty but in a not as dignified way as you could. Because I don't believe God meant for you to, like they will tell women, you have to cover up your hair. And my thought is, God did not give you beautiful hair for you to cover it up. But I do think He meant for your body to be sacred. And that's a reason to not just let it all hang out. But, but, I know it is not all about your clothes. I really do know that. But I am saying, even if it's not all about your clothes, notice one thing that when people win awards, when you graduate, I've said it before, they don't have you walk across that stage in a bikini because there is respect in covering up somewhat. Now, if it's 90 degrees, well, okay, I don't expect you to wear a monk's robe, but um, remember, men are stronger than you, and like I said, I do think that the way they were created, you think that they think the same way you do. They don't. Gender does matter. Now you can overcome certain urges if you want to, but if there aren't serious repercussions, you might not. So, like I said, and I'll say it one more time because I know I keep saying it, but I feel that nobody else is telling women this. Respect these guys' strength. Okay, as you can see, this is from Court TV, and the title is Sade Robinson Remains Found and Suspect Charged. So I'm not gonna play the whole thing. That's why I'm making sure I give you the name so you can go see it. And again, I apologize if you couldn't hear it, but I do think by now pretty much everybody knows what happened. My condolences to the family of Sade Robinson. It's a horrible, horrible thing to lose a child. It's a horrible thing when I guess you could look at it like everybody who passes is the Most High's child or potentially his child. But in any case, it's a horrible, death is a horrible, horrible thing. And the family has to hear it often every time they turn the computer or the TV on about what happened to their loved ones. But again, ladies, protect yourself. Um, it's the Savior gave a warning that I keep repeating. He would not have given you that warning if it wasn't going to be particularly difficult for you. And while I think it does apply to all women, I think it particularly applies to Black women because, as far as people on this earth, you don't really have protection from humans. That's why this is a great time to read the Bible for yourself. Now, you can read it straight through. I'll admit I never have, but you can read certain parts because it seems to me that a lot of people who have read it straight through still come up and say things that make you wonder about them. Like but that's another story altogether. I do think that yeah, study the Bible, study the word, study and ask yourself, what does a loving God, the loving God, how does he mean for us to live? Does he mean for women to just be a slave class? A lot of times I feel you'll hear Black men or Hebrew Israelite, African American, whatever, and they're crying and moaning about slavery. And they'll say the men of Israel were treated badly, like the women weren't there also. Also having to have babies and still not being strong enough to even put up as much resistance as they did, and sometimes having to use that resistance against your own nation. Men have been taught to kind of look out for men, and that didn't stop on the streets. That's in the churches. A lot of times that's where people learned. That's where you learned that you were a second class citizen and that if you are it's even worse if you worship non-black features or non-black accomplishments because then you'll feel you're second class as far as your gender, but you're also second class based on your race. So you're definitely not going to have self-esteem. But many wars were fought over Dinah. If you ever get a chance to look at that in Genesis, where she was taken from her family by a man of another nation, and her brothers said, no, you're not going to treat our sister like less than a dignified woman. So they fought many wars over her. My point is, God did not punish them for that. It was two brothers who led it. That was Simeon and Levi. He made Levi his priest. So don't think that God has put you here as a woman to be mistreated. Now, that doesn't mean that you don't have to observe your environment. Even look at this woman. If you notice, they don't take women's clothes off when they become police officers. Clothes have dignity, is what I'm saying. When they told you back in the 70s that freedom was taking your bra off and and acting like men, all they did was make you seem less valuable. You are valuable and you have to know it. And it's not coming from me, it's coming from the Most High. Like I said, many wars were fought over Dinah. So, like I said, I'm not going to play this whole thing. Um, my condolences to the family and to everybody who has lost someone. It's a hard thing, but you have to remember that the Most High promised to wipe away every tear from our eyes. So he knows it's painful down here, but he promises that he who endures to the end, that's the one who wins the prize. You want to win that prize. So if you have any, well, please remember to like, share, comment, subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Just giving me a like would be really nice. And thank you all so much for those who have commented and given me a like. Please share some too. That'll be fun. But yeah. I want the best for you all. So you guys take care and have a great rest of your day.